different camera.
Hello everyone. What is up? Welcome to FlavoredVivid. I wanted to make a video really quick. So my wife and I had gone out of town on an emergency. Her grandfather is 92 years old. Wonderful man. He is currently passing away from stage 5 kidney failure. So we had to hit the road and drive 13 hours to get out there to see him, to say our goodbyes. So thank you for patience in our absence here. However, in doing so, we were reunited with a ton of family, and there were so many blessings, so much healing, so much that had gone on, and it really showed me something important that I wanted to talk about, and I haven't touched on my channel personally in quite a while now. So I titled this video, "The Most Powerful Cheat Code You Have." I literally have the longest, it's like a freaking novel, you guys. So bear with me. If you know me, you know I do a lot of writing. I'm constantly writing. It's my form of alchemy and channeling and everything. And I want to remind you guys that a lot of us, all of us, if you've clicked on this video, you are probably the curse breaker in your family. And you're probably the oddball out, the black sheep, the chosen one, whatever you like. To identify with. And I think this is so important to discuss and talk about, specifically around the holidays, during sad season. Many of you guys can experience depression, loneliness, isolation, and I wanted to share all of this in hopes to touch base with your heart, with your higher selves, and hopefully reground you, re-empower you, remind you just how powerful you are and what a role you play in today's society. So I'm just going to go ahead and read off of my phone. Excuse me for this. This is just like my way of being able to build up the courage to talk about this, okay? Oops, sorry. Okay. Toxic families play a part in every way that you are hurt and held back, using subtle, unconscious tactics to manipulate and control you. Their goal is to break you, because in doing so, they can avoid facing their own truth and continue hiding in denial. They use you as an easy target, but now you reflect everything they refuse to confront within themselves. You are the version of them that they've been running from, and you are the one who ended the cycle. They try to ascribe you a role and weaponize aspects of yourself to tell you that you are the problem. They wanted to compromise your authenticity because their beliefs were challenged. Their reassurance manifested through your disconnection from knowing who you truly are, and they benefit by splitting you from your higher self. They invalidate everything you experience as a way to dismiss the abuse and refute any accountability. Now, one thing really quick, just a side note here, this isn't just for toxic families. I was working with a client yesterday and even a client today, and I noticed that that pattern really comes in and plays out in almost every aspect of their life. So that's something that you could find is like, you never fit in with, friends because you're too real for them and it's just too much. Have you ever heard that? Like, I've always had a lot of people tell me, it's just too much, Carissa, you're too much for me. And it's because these people want to run and they want to hide from, the divine truth instead of facing it. And then they blame you and put all their energy back onto you for the reason why, you're problematic for being honest with them like that, because they prefer to hide in the dark. So this could be employers, this could be, friends, this could be lovers even. It's whoever you're kind of meant to, awaken in that aspect there, okay? Most people don't understand that our unresolved wounds from childhood don't just disappear. They show up and they replay out in every adult relationship until we finally give them the attention that they always needed. So today, I am sharing recent experiences with the hopes that this helps promote encouragement or raise awareness along this journey. I want to preface this by saying that talking about abuse is part of the healing process. Staying silent is a form of compliance, and many stay quiet because their voice is stifled and their throat chakra is blocked by shame. Many have been taught that sharing their experiences is something to be frowned upon. As somebody who is a survivor of complex trauma, I know the devastating imprints and impact trauma can have. It requires so much courage to be the self-healer and the cycle breaker. Too many good people have been made to feel unworthy of love by those unhealed themselves that don't understand what true unconditional love looks like. We have been traumatized by individuals who fail to realize the chasm between the unique paths of each soul. Toxic family environments are an orchestrated soul journey. I just got deja vu. I don't know if I've just read this too many times or if that was like real deja vu, but that threw me off there. Sorry, ADHD. Toxic family environments are an orchestrated soul journey. You fulfill the role of seeing things as they are and collapsing outdated paradigms. You didn't just play the part, you're exposing the truth and showing others what it truly means to be chosen and divinely destined. You're breaking free from cycles that trap generations before you, overcoming trials believed to destroy you. With the guidance of the divine, your ancestors, and the strength of your own spirit, you're rising beyond anyone else's expectations. When dealing with toxic family or people, you have to know who you are and then stand up for yourself regardless of whatever consequences others are threatening against you. Otherwise, you will lose your sense of self in the process by succumbing to them. They will try everything from using fear tactics, psychological attacks, calling you out of your name, emotional abandonment, gaslighting, deflection, calling you crazy, and resort to bullying when nothing works. They will slander you and they will focus on the version of you that they created for their own benefit and then use that against you. You have to know who you are. You are a cycle breaker, and you will not conform or comply for mediocre relationships that have no space for your authenticity. Instead of viewing yourself through the lens of bad or wrong or whatever narrative that they're trying to push, simply view it as limited. Their level of consciousness limits them to the unpalatable behaviors, and they simply cannot do better considering their current level of understanding and awareness. Now, this does not justify their actions or their behavior. This is not excuses for them. This is for your ability to be able to see things exactly as they are without personalizing the experience, which allows you to remain centered in your highest self and your highest form, okay? So do not personalize what they are saying. Doing so makes you oscillate between believing what they're saying has validity when in reality it holds no weight. Do not give others the power to define you. Stand your ground and create healthy boundaries. Boundaries say, you do not define me, I am sovereign. And keep in mind that there is a vast difference between boundaries and borders. Borders tell other people that you are hurt and you are unapproachable. They keep even the good out during that time. Boundaries tells others that you value and respect yourself, you love and you know yourself well enough to not tolerate toxic behaviors from people incapable of humility. With all of that said, I want to share a personal experience and how I navigated it in hopes to empower or inspire another if you find yourself in a similar position. Again, it's the holidays. Many of us are going home. We're seeing relatives, friends, families. It's a very triggering time. A lot of people are sad, depressed, projecting. There's a lot of pain in the matrix right now. And during this time of ascension, during this time of recalibration that we are all experiencing, we may experience this directly or even vicariously. So this could also help you if you know somebody who's going through this, and you'll be able to be that ripple effect for them, that soundboard for them, whatever it may be. This past week, my wife and I had to leave town to say our goodbyes to her grandfather. He's currently in hospice with stage 5 kidney failure at the immaculate age of 92. Truly an impeccable man with a head full of beautiful Italian hair. This unfortunate circumstance also aligned us with my family, who I have not seen for over a decade. There was so much healing, crying, and grief that was alchemized and renewed. It is a trip our souls will never forget. I gained closure on situations with my father, not through him, but through my sister, reigniting a flame that never truly burnt out. I found out that he's been blaming me for everything wrong in his life when I wasn't around. And so my father and I have not been in contact since like 2012, okay? He refused to see me during this trip, but we kept making the jokes. Like, it turned into an inside joke for me, my sister, and my wife and everybody, you know, saying that he would like blame me for 9/11 if he could. Like, it's just like the things that he blames me for is so absolutely ridiculous. You know, he blames me for like a divorce when I wasn't even there and I was out of his life for 4 years at that point. You know, certain things, right? So his adult toddler behavior turned into an inside joke. We laughed obnoxiously, saying that he would blame me for 9/11 if he could because of how ridiculous it was for him to displace the consequences of his decisions in my life as my responsibility even when I wasn't around. My sister surprised me with my mother's and my grandfather's ashes, and I was so happy about that. I sobbed into her embrace with so much gratitude. I then immediately talked to my grandmother, who was more than displeased with my excitement. This is where things take a little bit of a wrong turn, and I wasn't expecting it, but it's okay. I'm very grateful for the experience regardless. So she opened the floodgates of ancient wounds within me by using every excuse, every angle, and every tactic to try and shame me, attempting to make me feel like there's something wrong with myself and physically telling me that there's something wrong with me, all because I didn't comply to her toxic reactions during our conversations. She told me that regardless if she is right or wrong, I should comply. Her emotional dysregulation was something she was not willing to look at. She resorted to name calling, cussing, belittling, and being belligerent. When she realized that my boundaries were firm, she berated me, and the chastism between us was illuminated in a way that I recognized I had always allowed her to use me as a target for her misdirected energies. I enabled that behavior. I blindly accepted her abuse by telling myself, I'm the black sheep. So, what ways do we justify other people's behaviors and make excuses for other people's behaviors through things like just saying, oh, well, I'm the black sheep. This just always happens to me. I don't know about you guys, but I always did. And then I had to recognize that. So we're going to talk about this here and how I recognize that and what I went through with that. But I energetically gave permission every single time I allowed things in the past to slide, and it only progressively got worse. Once she saw that nothing was breaking me, she tried to shame me for using big words, showing me that my intelligence triggered her insecurities. She did this to try and hurt me, knowing that I grew up reading all of my grandfather's encyclopedias for fun. I played Scrabble for fun. I was not like a normal kid, you guys, okay? I wanted to be intelligent and I'm not really intelligent. But anyways, writing and poetry has always been my outlet. I could feel the potency of the new me and the pull of the old me. I just sit and remind myself that there are multiple versions of me living inside me that deserve their time and their space. I need whoever is listening to this to know that people will live in denial. They'll weaponize God, your intelligence. They will attempt to psychologically destroy you and whatever belief systems you have, whatever confidence you have in yourself for the agenda of garnering control and submission. I found myself arguing in circles with my grandma about things all the way back into early childhood, which entirely cycled away from the root of our disagreement. I found myself revisiting the familiar feeling of being ostracized and alone, just like when I was a kid. I became aware that I was overcompensating by trying to explain everything to somebody who doesn't have the depth or insight to actually see things from a new perspective. My grandma knows that I'm a very sensitive individual, and I recognize how she tried to use everything I told her during my healing process as a weapon against me in the current moment, because she knows how important emotional support from those who matter in my life is to me. She kept telling me that I think I'm better than everyone else because I didn't allow drugs or alcohol to destroy my life, when in reality, she thinks that I'm better than everyone else in our family who did allow that to happen, and she resents me for it. It's inevitable that I would receive hate for breaking the cycles that others in my family have drowned in, but I did it for them, for us all. So I had to sit with the pain of knowing I will never be appreciated for doing the work my bloodline before me couldn't. My grandmother tried to tell me that I need to take a compassion class since I don't allow certain family members who have spent my entire living life on drugs to be a part of mine and my children's life to this current day, insinuating that my boundaries don't matter and I'm heartless for having them. Every part of me wished that she understood I cannot enable those who do not want to change and willingly harm everything in their path with their own destructive behaviors. She was right about one thing. Compassion is exactly what I needed. Knowing that I have a heart of gold, it hurt me and took me back to a place that allowed me to give all that compassion and forgiveness I've always held for others to my younger self. She unpacked a version of me who was caught in a moment of time that needed my love, protection, compassion, and guidance. That little version of me was overshadowed by people around who always took precedence over me. That little girl was neglected, abandoned, and left to process everything I witnessed and experienced on my own. I was taught from a young age that I was a burden. I was tossed around like a hot potato. Who can take care of Carissa this week? I don't have time for this. This being a whole human who was at the mercy of whoever could house me. I was taught that everyone around was more important than I was. I learned to cater to everyone else's needs to receive love. And as I got older, I had to unlearn that love is not a labor and I do not have to chronically sacrifice. As that deep emotion overcame me in the moment, I recognized I had to show my younger self compassion. She was so strong, so loving, and I'm so grateful for her. I had to respond to my inner child with the warmth and care that she had always deserved. My grandmother's acute programming showed me that at her level of consciousness, I can never be accepted for who I am. Every ounce of my soul desired her approval and love, and I was met with epiphanies because of it. In that long, arduous conversation, I recognized how many excuses I created to justify toxic behaviors. Instead of enabling that behavior, I stood my ground to foster seeds of love that have been neglected for decades. I recognize that the pattern in my family has been to ostracize and disown the truth teller, shifting blame to avoid being accountable by making them feel like they are bad for not molding to systems of normalized dysfunction. No one likes the embodiment of light when they're comfortable keeping themselves in the dark. Let me say that again. Nobody likes the embodiment of light when they're comfortable keeping themselves in the dark. We all know that seeds require light to grow. Let me say that part again. We all know that seeds require light to grow. And I think unconsciously that's why so many people try to dim others. The reasons they do this vary in each dynamic. However, they all have one thing in common. They enable toxic behaviors so that growth does not manifest. Most people go through life comfortable and barren plains they can predictably control versus in lush environments they would have to relearn how to navigate. Comfort zones don't breed greatness, but generational cycle breakers do. If you find yourself being a cycle breaker for your family, if you found yourself always being ostracized and blamed because your beliefs don't align to the disrespect and maladjusted existence that others adhere to, you were born to create the change. You are who your ancestors have waited for. The only way out is through, and you have come to know yourself so well that the light from within, you have to know yourself so well that the light comes from within and not from another's validation of you. The saying goes, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The only thing that changes is your perception. We may never get the apologies that we deserve, but we can heal and revisit the parts of ourselves we neglected during those moments that we felt abandoned. We can create safety and authenticity by enforcing our boundaries and prioritizing our peace. We can foster growth by celebrating every small step we take towards new milestones. There is a grief process, and we can eliminate all the shame or guilt that we perceived through self-empowerment. The first stage of healing grief is acceptance. Accepting that we are the pioneers of generations that come after us. Our responsibility then shifts from conforming to outdated systems to rebuilding healthy communities and relationships. We remove ourselves because we cannot heal in the same environments that broke us. We forgive ourselves and others because we know that we cannot force our timelines onto people that are not meant to be in them. We reclaim our power and redirect it into something beneficial and aligned. You are the architect of your future. You have the blueprint in your DNA, and people will attempt in any way to make sure that you do not achieve your soul's goal, but you're not meant to let them. In this game of life, the most powerful cheat code you have is remembering who you are. That's the title of the reading. Remember who you are. The title of this video, whatever. Remember, the most powerful cheat code that you have is remembering who you are. Okay, most people, they claim that they know who they are and then they let everyone else around define them, etc., or they live behind all these facades and these masks, and it's a really fake world that we're living in. We really do and are surrounded by so many false individuals that don't want to look at their darkness. You know, they're more comfortable not looking at their darkness, and that's okay. That doesn't make you a bad person. All right, it makes them a unaligned to you person, they're not a bad person either. I want you to know that as well. My grandmother, she's not a bad person. She's a wonderful woman, and because of her, I'm a great chef. You know, I'm a wonderful cook and everything else, right? So she's just not aligned to me anymore, and I'm really grateful that I was able to see this. So let's go ahead and continue here. Remembering who you are allows you to be around and hear about people who continue to try to break you while you remain neutral and centered within yourself. Self-mastery comes not by hiding from the challenge, but by standing in situations which the old you would have been broken by, but the new you is unbothered with. That is a true cycle breaker, a master alchemist. You're immovable because you don't allow anyone to disrupt or take from your own self-worth. You have to realize what comes from these people have no value because of what they represent. You matter, and you're doing things that others who came before you are incapable of. You are so powerful, so protected, and so appreciated. Your future self is grateful for the moments you reclaimed your power and used it to curate realities mindfully. So that's it. That's what I have to say here. That took 20, I told you it would take me 20 minutes to read. 20 minutes to read here. But I just wanted to share that. I know that this is a really difficult time for so many individuals, and all of our processes are going to be a bit different, but no matter what, and even if you find yourself triggered, I want you to be more mindful of the words that you're using. Don't say that you're triggered. Say that you're revisiting. Say that you're rewarming, reheating. Okay, you're re-evaluating. You're coming back to something and allowing yourself to navigate it differently. In those moments, again, when you find yourself arguing with these people, we're doing it because we want something. So for example, with my father, I didn't really care to see him, if I'm being honest, okay? I just didn't. He's not a good man. You know, nobody in our family really likes him. But anyways, but a part of me wanted to see him mainly to prove and be like, look, I'm not who you said I was gonna be. Like, but that comes from ego. And I recognize that too. And as soon as I recognized that, it took all the fun and disappointment that I had away. Like, I was like, okay, so this is coming from ego, which means that this is boring. Next, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really care to see him. I just care to prove something. And why do I need to prove it? Well, because my ego would feel better to prove that to a person. It really had nothing to do with intimate connection or, you know, having a father in my life. It was nothing like that, okay? And so you got to recognize, like, where's the stuff that's kind of welling up within me coming from? Where is it stemming from? And then with my grandmother, it's just honestly one thing, you know, she's getting older, and, you know, she has a lot of pain, and she's made a lot of excuses for people, and there's a lot of shame and guilt that she carries. I'm not going to allow that as an excuse for her to treat me like crap, which is why I stood my ground. However, that doesn't mean that I'm going to go cutting her off either. I'm going to create boundary. I'm going to create safety, and I'm going to make sure that I'm in a safe place mentally, physically, emotionally, to be able to, you know, hold space or be around her. You know, so when you're going and you're sitting at these Thanksgiving tables, and yes, I am. Aaliyah, yes, I am. And actually right now, if you use the code HOLIDAY, it's holiday, right? Not holidays. Holidays, no, plural.
Holiday. It was holidays.
Okay, that's right. It's holiday. I'm sorry. Use code HOLIDAY for 40% off right now, and you can book as much as you would like. FlavoredVivid.com. We'd love to work with you. I'd love to work with you. But back to everybody else real quick. Will you type that in the chat for me? When you find yourself sitting at these tables in these living rooms with individuals that have the capacity to trigger you in ways because you care so much, that's the reason that they're able to awaken you, to unpack different versions of yourself, as words that I like to choose instead of trigger, because I don't think that they're genuinely triggers. Triggers are when we like crash out and pop off, right? Definitely don't go doing that. Don't match their energy, because then you're giving your power away. Instead, sit with that energy and listen to what they're saying and respond to it. Don't react to it, but respond to that energy. And if it doesn't deserve a response, then that's even better. Don't give them one. You can sit in silence, and you do have that. You know, the power is in your hands. And it's so important to know. I wanted to share this though as a means to share my message, not my mess. Because there's my grandma is a very vicious individual, very belligerent individual, and if I really shared the things that she had said, this would be a very messy video. But it is important to know that even in those moments, I was able to be like, wow, grandma, you're very dysregulated right now. Wow, grandma, this is happening right now. And I was able to point those out because for me, even if she's unable to see or hear them right now, it's important for me to plant those seeds because I know that when I'm not around, she will think about that. And I know that when I'm not around, those will grow. As soon as she faces the light, that light will raise that seed and grow that seed. And so that's part of me with my boundaries. Part of my boundaries are allowing myself to be my authentic self. That doesn't mean that I'm forcing her to accept them or to acknowledge them. I'm just saying my truth. And if she chooses it one day, that's amazing. If not, that's okay. I still love her, She's still my grandma. So when you find yourself in difficult situations, I want you to breathe and I want you to revisit and I want you to unpack and I want you to get really comfortable with yourself, your inner child, with those parts of you that have been neglected for however long until they were reawakened, and sit with them and remember that your future self, your current self is your future self to your younger self, okay? Which means that you're sending that energy vibrationally to that younger version of you, which is so important. So I know the holidays are hard and I send you strength and empowerment and so much love. And if you're feeling lonely because you've cut off family, I have been there too. I have had holidays where it's just me and I completely recognize it makes us feel like a failure and we can feel shame. We can feel guilt because we cut everybody off and now they're guilting us for not coming around, even though they don't understand we do have reasons to not come around, right? All of it. I've been there and I've done that. And so don't put yourself in situations that you know you're not ready for. I'm not trying to force you into anything. But for those of you guys where it's like, I have to be there for this and I want to show up for myself, this really shows you how healed we really are. This was an opportunity for me to see how much of a different version of myself that I am compared to 2012 me. Like, we are completely different individuals. 2012 would have cried and I would have believed everything that they said and I would have complied and been like, you're right, this is my only grandma, this is my only lifeline, right? And the new version of me was just like, no, but I love you and I see your truth, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? So many people convince themselves that they're healed and then they stay away from everything that they perceive as hurtful or dangerous or whatever it may be, but that's not true healing. That's spiritual bypassing. We heal alone, yes, but we also heal in communities and in groups of individuals. We heal in these environments as well. We can't heal where we're broken, so take your time wherever you're at in your journey. But if you're at the part of your journey where you know that you're a different individual and you feel confident or comfortable, go for it. Now, what gives me this perception and this outlook is the fact that I have lost my mother. I was in no contact when I lost my mother to her taking her own life. And I look back on that to this day and I'm devastated by that. I'm devastated that she had no way to reach out to me. And I wish that I had the maturity and the version of myself that I had now to be more accepting. I'm not saying tolerating, but to be more accepting of where she was at on her journey instead of getting angry at her for where she was at versus where I was at. Now for me, though, I don't allow drugs around my kids or myself because of the fact of the way that I grew up. And so that's a huge no-no for me. But I would have allowed myself to talk to her and to open up lines of communication, which I did not allow before. And so I just want you guys to know that tomorrow's never promised. And I'm not telling you guys to go talk to toxic family members. I understand the cutoff part. I understand that part of the process, that part of the journey. Okay. But I do want you to be open to forgiveness and that personal strength if you can be. If it's not for you, that's okay too. That doesn't mean that you're bad. That doesn't mean that you're wrong. That doesn't mean I'm right, okay? I'm just sharing a perception of somebody who has been on this journey for so freaking long now, and I've gone through so many different phases. I've gone through the nobody's coming near me. Nobody's nobody's gonna talk to me. You're cut off. I'll go years. I don't care about family. I'm better off on my own. I've gone through phases where I'm like, I'm so healed, and then I get super triggered. All right, and then I'm in this phase where it's like, I am healed and I get to revisit and unpack these things. I see everything as an opportunity now, and I can see people for where they're at. And one of the wisest things I was ever told to me was to meet people where they are at. And I've held that so dear to my heart ever since. And I've integrated it numerous times over and over and over again, almost obsessively, until I truly understood it in every single aspect and perspective that it had to give. You're isolated right now. That's okay. That is okay. That is part of the journey. We go through the isolation stage. And whenever you're ready, I'm sure you'll be welcomed with open arms until there's another argument. And then that's okay too. It's totally fine. It's life. It's our family. We're human. We're here to make mistakes. But again, the biggest cheat code to your life and to success is to know who you are. And when you genuinely, truly know who you are, that's when you find yourself in these positions where you're unbothered and you're immovable, okay? Yes, exactly. Hi, Gigi. Hello, beautiful. I hope that you're well. All right, you guys, that's all I've got for tonight here. We will be live this week with astrology and zodiac. We are home now. I've had time to process everything because I had to process. Like, that's the thing, is make sure you're taking time for you as well. Don't try to force yourself through these situations or force yourself into them or force others into them either. You can say your truth, and if they're unwilling to accept your truth, that's totally fine, okay? That is okay. We don't take offense to that. We did what we had to do or what we were guided to do. And that should be something that you are proud of, because that's your individual journey. And there is a vast difference between you and every other individual. There's a difference between me. There's a difference between you. But at the same time, we are all one. All right? We are all one. Yes. So I send you guys so much love, so much support. I send you guys so much strength, no matter what part of your journey you guys are at right now. And I just want to remind you that you are doing that dirty, scary, ugly inner work, and growth is a process. Growth is a process. You don't hear a tree growing outside. Growth doesn't really make a lot of noise. Growth doesn't say, hey, look at me, I'm growing. Hello, you guys are missing it. I grew like a whole inch. It's ugly, it's quiet, and it mainly happens under the surface where the roots take place. And remember that the deeper that your roots go, the bigger your tree will be. I don't care if other people around you are growing faster. They're also quickly taken over by the first storm that comes in. Don't compare yourselves to other individuals. Comparison is a thief of joy. I had mentioned something to a friend recently, and they had felt like I compared myself to them. I do a lot of sharing my own personal experiences, journeys, etc., as a way to give multiple perspectives. But I just want to say, because this was brought to my attention, and I do value that, that it's important to know that when I share these things, I'm not doing it so you compare yourself to me or anything. I do it so that we have alternative perspectives, because I can learn from you, you can learn from me, and there is no comparison though. I am me and you are you, okay? And it's all with love and so much growth and strength and everything else aligned, okay? So I love you guys. I'll see you guys later this week with Zodiac readings. Thank you for the support. If you feel inclined to share this video with somebody who may need it during this time, please do. I appreciate it. If you would like to book any services with me or my wife right now, we are offering 40% off. It was Cyber Monday, but I extended it 7 days because somebody reached out and said they don't get paid until Friday, so I extended it. So it's a full week of Cyber Monday, 40% off all services. The code is holiday. So FlavoredVivid.com. I'll see you guys there. Love you. Bye. Oops. How do I end it here?